one of the most overused and abused inspirational statements on the internet is life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Whenever I see this on the internet or even when someone just mentions it to me, I can't help but cringe. Now you're probably wondering why. Why would I cringe? It seems like a decent inspirational quote. Well, here's the thing. People who spout that statement are rarely living at the end of their comfort zone. And to be honest, it's because there's not much substance to it. Yeah, sure, it's true, but it doesn't get the blood flowing. It doesn't get you to seriously contemplate on living at the end of your comfort zone because it just seems too easy. Now I'm gonna tell you what. The best way to look at living outside your comfort zone in general is to look at each uncomfortable or challenging situation as a mini initiation. And the reason why I say mini initiation is because you're going to feel a lot of discomfort and distress. You're going to feel fear, doubt, uncertainty. You're probably going to feel awkwardness, probably going to stumble and fall. Yet, that's the price to pay to get to a higher level of understanding and to get to a higher level of maturity. And when you look at it as a mini initiation, then you realize that there's a price that has to be paid. And if you're not willing to pay that price, well then you have no right to feel sorry for yourself for not fulfilling your potential. I know that sounds harsh, but that's just the reality. Right? Because I know so many times especially my 20s, where, especially during my dork/coward phase, where I had the opportunities to be initiated into a higher level of maturity, into a higher level of understanding, to a higher level of skill development. Yet, I chose to cower away, and I paid for it. I stayed as the same typical dork for too many years. So when the next time you have an uncomfortable or frustrating situation, you have to remember that this is your mini initiation, and you have to be willing to go through the emotional roller coaster to get to a higher level. Now, I don't want to take credit for this idea, guys. As you know, 99.9% of the ideas on my channel are never from me being original. And that's probably how that's going to be for the foreseeable future. So with regards to mini initiations, I got this idea from Plutarch, an ancient Greek author from approximately 2,000 years ago. And here's the quote. It follows that a person who is at the receiving end of criticism ought to feel some discomfort and pain, but should not be depressed or downhearted. He should treat it as if philosophy had ritually initiated him and endure the preliminary purifications and disturbances, anticipating that his present discomfort and distress will lead to a delightful and lucid state. Now, I understand this quote is with regards to receiving criticism, but the ideas in it applies to everything. Whenever you're going through the awkward or stumbling phase, that's the price to pay, but you just look at it as this is how you get initiated, right? And honestly, I'm sure if you look back, you can find examples in your life where when you started off with something, it was awkward, uncomfortable, maybe even a little embarrassing, yet the fact that you persevered, stuck with it, you were able to become pretty adept and proficient with it. Now, I'll give you guys a corny example. In one of my jobs, I had to do cold calling, and that just devastated me. The fact that, sales is hard on its own, but the fact that I have to convince someone to be interested in a product that they didn't even heard of just 5 minutes prior, that was so daunting. And I'll admit, the first few hundred cold calls were a pain. I got rejected, hung up on, insulted. It was a rough ride. Yet, after those first few hundred calls, believe it or not, I got I started to get pretty good at cold calling. I was able to hook prospects into learning more about my company's products and services, even though they didn't care about it 2-3 minutes prior to the phone call. And when I was able to develop this cold calling skill, I was pretty proud of myself because I stuck with it despite feeling horrible about it, despite feeling that I sucked. I was able to get through it, and I was able to get to a higher level of understanding persuasion and human nature with regards to cold calling. Now, another example I want to give you is Mark Manson. So Mark Manson wrote this amazing book called Models, and the book is obviously about dating, but it's a great book just for a guy to learn how to develop his own life and develop his own identity. And one of the things that Mark Manson said in that book was that if you actually just went out and spoke to women every day, you wouldn't need his book. That's how brutally honest Mark Manson was. And the more I mulled over it, it made sense, because when you're willing to stumble, fall, embarrass yourself, when you're willing to pay that price to get good with socializing with women, your dating life will skyrocket. However, as you can see on Red Pill, YouTube, Red Pill, Twitter, and all that, guys don't want to pay the price. They don't want to be initiated into learning how to be very social with women. They don't. They want to find the surefire ways and methods, which is just very naive. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. The point is, anything that you want to do, you have to accept that if it's new or challenging or uncomfortable, that it's going to be a mini initiation for you to get to a higher level of understanding and maturity. Always remember that. So instead of remembering, oh, life begins at the end of your comfort zone, nah, throw that out. Just remember that you have to go through a mini initiation to get where you want to be. Now, before I cap off this video, I just also want you guys to know this, that the more you engage with mini initiations in different areas of your life, the more magnificent you'll become. You will become this interesting and amazing, well-rounded person with interesting stories, unique experiences, and amazing insights. Again, to become that type of person, you were willing to pay the price. One thing that disappoints me quite a bit is when I see young people thinking that they can become cool and interesting by just staying at home and scrolling social media. No, that can never happen. You cannot be an interesting and amazing person by doing nothing in life. You have to engage. And with all that engagement, you have to pay a price. So again, remember, you're going to feel discomfort, distress, embarrassment, failure, rejection, all that and more. Yet, you just have to remind yourself, by taking action, you are ritually initiating yourself into a higher level of understanding and maturity. Alright, because trust me guys, when you're on your deathbed and you're looking back at your life, you're just going to feel a strong sense of satisfaction knowing that you went out there and engaged. And time is ticking. Every day that passes by is one less day to live. And in my case, maybe I've lived more days than I have ahead of me. I don't know, but I'm incredibly grateful for my life and will continually push myself to have those many initiations. And I want you guys to do the same too. Don't be like me where you wasted 10 years of your life making dumb mistakes. Don't do that. Put yourself out there. Go through those mini initiations. Learn. And trust me, by the end of it, you're gonna surprise yourself with who you can become. Alright, anyways, this video is getting way too corny, so thank you guys again for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my newsletter, and guys, remember, you're not just any type of nerd, you're a charismatic nerd.